Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Monster Hunter video, and in today's video we are speaking about Monster Hunter Double Cross. Now yes, just before I get started, I know today is supposed to be Mix-Up Monday, however I've been incredibly busy lately and I haven't had a chance to go through all of these submissions, plus there's been loads of new videos and information surrounding Brave Style for Monster Hunter Double Cross, so I decided that today I'm going to speak about that, and next week Mix-Up Monday will return. So, if you do enjoy this video, then a like would be super appreciated, comment down below if you have any questions. But, to begin, if you guys haven't seen anything on Brave Style, then I will link my original video down below that explains how it works. But a super quick summary, just before we dive into all these videos, is that Brave Style is one of the new styles coming to Double Cross. It is a hyper-offensive style that basically rewards you for being in the action pretty much all of the time. When you press Y, you go into this special animation, which I'm calling Brave Stance, and during this animation, if you're hit, you will evade. You'll still take damage, a little bit less than you would normally, but you can go straight from that evade back into the action, which means even if you get hit, you won't get knocked over, you can just keep on going, keep on fighting, all that stuff like that. Plus, some moves for the particular weapons are hidden behind this Brave Style, so much like if you play Adept or Aerial, things like, let's say, Greatsword. You can't charge the sword on the ground. If you're using Aerial style, you have to do it in the air. So much like Brave Style, some moves will be hidden behind this stance, so you'll have to go into this animation and then attack in order to do those. So, with that being said, there are now 14 videos that have gone live on Capcom's Monster Hunter Double Cross website and the Capcom channel YouTube channel, and they give us a little glimpse into some of the stuff you can do with each of the 14 weapons using Brave Style. So we're going to go through them one by one and give you guys a super quick breakdown. If you want to see all the videos without me speaking over the top, I will link Capcom's Double Cross website in the description box down below. All you want to do is click on that link, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see little weapon icons. You can click on those and watch the video for yourself. Anyway, let's start off with Sword and Shield. The first thing you'll notice is that from the Brave Stance, you can then go into the Roundhouse Slash, and then moving on from there, a couple of cool things. First up, you of course get to see that if you get hit, you do in fact dodge out, and this applies to every single weapon just simply by being in that stance. You will of course notice some damage was taken, and of course that red health is going to be useful for some of those red health skills, but you can of course run and reposition yourself from there. Also, one of the attacks that you can do from Brave Stance is this new jumping shield attack. It leads with a shield, which appears to do impact damage, which makes sense, and it follows up with a slash, so that is super cool. And of course, once you hit Brave Stance, then you get access to some new moves, namely the ability to backflip out of your attacks, which is really cool. Plus, you can attack during this backflip animation if you hit the monster, and you can then follow the backflip and run straight back in with a rising attack. So really, really cool, especially if you know the monster and you know that, say, they're about to, tail whip or something, you can get just out of range and then run back in and still keep in the action. Because do remember that once you max out your Brave meter, and this applies to all weapons, you will get access to some new moves that you don't otherwise have. But if you want to keep this Brave meter active, then you need to stay in the fight and keep on fighting. So it will go down, you will lose it, so the more aggressive you are, the more you fight, the more it will remain. Then moving over to Greatsword, you can of course see from the beginning, from the Brave Stance, you can go straight into that sweeping attack. You can of course also dodge your attacks once again, and then from your Brave Stance, you can go into your charge attack. You cannot charge your sword normally unless you go from Brave Stance, so that is of course one of your sacrifices. But once you are in Brave Stance, your charge attack then goes into this fast charge, which is really powerful and a hell of a lot faster, which means it's going to be really easy to, say, position it, make sure you can get that level 3 charge off in a much shorter time frame. Plus, if you charge your weapon while it's drawn, you'll instead go into this strong charge. You can of course see that denoted by the blue aura, and that's going to do a lot more damage. It of course takes longer to charge, but you can of course also follow up with that powerful swing for some additional damage. So a lot of powerful potential from the Greatsword with this one, whether that be the fast charge attack from draw or the more powerful charge from already having the weapon out. Either way, very exciting. And also, something you might notice in this video is that the Greatsword has the ability to sidestep. It appears from the footage that pretty much all, if not all weapons, have the ability to do this. So when you're in Brave mode, you can of course sidestep around, which is, great for some of the faster weapons, but even better for some of the heavier weapons, things like Greatsword, which are not normally quite as mobile. So your ability to sidestep out is going to be very, very useful. Then moving over to Longsword. So first thing you see, of course, from the very beginning is that you can go into that Roundhouse Slash, the one that kind of follows the Fade Slash, and that comes from your Brave Stance. The other thing worth noting is that it appears in this stance, you don't go through the 3 different tiers of your sword charge, so you won't go through white, yellow, and red. You go straight into a blue sword charge, which is the Brave charge, and this, from the footage, doesn't appear to go down, so I'm assuming while Brave style is active, this remains active too. Also, your Spirit combo, the second hit actually acts as a counter, so if you're hit during this combo and during this frame, then you can counter the attack and still carry on. So again, this lends itself to the hyper aggressive nature. This style is all about keeping you right in the monster's face and finding ways to, you know, like dodge and keep in there as opposed to running away, getting knocked back, things like that. Then moving on to the dual blades, of course you can see right from the beginning, from Brave Stance you can go into your slingshot attack. However, it is worth noting, as you'll see in this part of the gameplay, you do not have a demon gauge, and the only way to get into Arc Demon mode is to be in Brave Stance. Once you're in Brave Stance, you are permanently in Arc Demon mode, which means you can dash around, you can take advantage of those moves that you would normally get in that mode, plus pairing the ability to, you know, dodge, dash, things like that. You're going to have insane mobility with this weapon, and that is going to be incredibly powerful. Next up, moving over to the hammer. So first up from the Brave Stance, you can of course go into a slightly more powerful swing, like an upswing attack. This appears to sort of add an extra rotation to it, so I'm going to assume it's a lot more powerful. You of course still have your evade from Brave Stance, and you have the ability to side hop again, which is once again nice for, you know, a slightly heavier, bigger, bulkier weapon. Then once you enter Brave Stance, this is the really cool thing, your charges will go into the strong charge. That's the charge that you would normally only see from Adept style, but you can go straight into that just by charging. However, from that first attack, if you then go straight back into a charge, you can then go to a level 2 version, which basically has a slightly different animation. It's more of a down smash, and you then go into the third version, and this ends in a very powerful golf swing. So basically, 3 consecutive charges, you all combo together, once you're in Brave style, to do some crazy damage, and of course, impact damage, so it's going to be insane for KOing monsters. Hunting Horn up next. This one's an interesting one. So it seems that your recital is behind Brave style. Whether you can also do it normally, I don't know, because of course until we get our hands on it, we're not going to know for sure. But from the clip here, it does seem like you can go straight from a recital into a Brave stance, which is kind of handy because if you happen to be in that mode and you're hit, then at least you're going to evade out. However, one of the interesting things here is that when you get into Brave mode, it seems you can work your recital into your regular combo. So instead of having to actively, you know, pause and do your recital animation, you can do that during the attack. So that way, again, it keeps you active, keeps you moving. And of course, again, encourages Horn users to play even more aggressive, you know, than before. Plus, your Horn songs are now down in the bottom left, so they don't obscure your middle screen. Pretty nice. Moving on from there to Lance, it seems from your Brave stance, you can of course do your upward thrust attack, followed by the wide sweep. But when you enter Brave mode, you appear to have a sort of shield advance or a shield counter. You basically bring your shield up, you can use this to run through attacks, and you can then follow this into your conventional Lance combo, so your triple stab, whether that be, you know, forward stabs, upward stabs, and it appears you can continually chain this, so you can go from stabs to shield advance counter, back into stabs, shield advance counter, etc. After that, moving over to Gun Lance. Now this one here is interesting. It seems that you can go from a Brave stance into an upward thrust, which is followed by a single pellet reload. And the other interesting thing is that when you are doing your reload animation, you appear to have effectively a guard point, because you'll see that the Barroth's tail whipped around and hit him as he was doing that shell reload, and he didn't get knocked back, didn't take any damage, so it appears to be some sort of guard point, again, by the flash. However, the interesting thing when you're in Brave stance is that you can then go into an upward thrust and fire out all of your shots. So if you have a Gun Lance with a lot of shots, then you're going to be able to spam this quite vigorously. After that, moving over to Switch Axe, and yes, that is a Yankaku Switch Axe, that is pretty awesome, but one of the main things you'll see here is that when you're in Brave stance, there appears to be a new kind of flurry combo that goes from sword to axe, back to sword again, and you also have the powerful finisher, the one that's basically the kind of chainsaw animation or the unload animation. This now has 2 stages to it. You'll have a shorter charge version, which is nice, because of course you can get the explosion off much quicker, and it then follows up with a second explosion. Now it'll be interesting to know whether you can cancel that second one if you're in a pinch. Maybe you can kind of get half of it out and roll out. But either way, that is a new finisher. Then moving on from there to Charge Blade. This is a weapon that has for a very long time been one of my favourites. I did put it on the bench a little bit in Monster Hunter Generations because it was a little bit different to how I used it in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, but Brave does look like it's bringing back some really interesting options. The first thing we're talking about is that the second you enter Brave stance, your shield glows blue. You don't need to charge the shield, it just goes blue, and it remains blue permanently all while you're in Brave stance. So yes, as a Charge Blade user, you will have permanent shield provided you remain in Brave stance. I don't know whether, again, you can get yellow or red shield or whether blue just replaces that indefinitely. But either way, it's quite nice because if you can remain in Brave, then the only thing you need to worry about is keeping your files topped up. You don't need to worry about the shield at all. And it also means that if you use any kind of guard points or any sort of axe attacks, then you're always going to gain that elemental or that impact bonus from the shield. Also, interestingly, when in Brave stance, when you do the dash, which as I mentioned, a lot of weapons do have, this dash on Charge Blade does have a guard point, so you can actually dash through attacks, which is going to be incredibly powerful. You can then follow that up with, say, a shield thrust, which is going to be really cool. And then if you look at this attack, this is a new sort of finisher. When you're in axe mode, you have the normal one, which you're used to, but you then have this over-the-top one, which does a few swings, ends in a massive slam, and of course, bear in mind, if you're using an impact-type charge blade, all of those are effectively KO damage, provided you do it to the head, so this is going to have some pretty insane KO potential. Then next up, moving over to the insect glaive, you can firstly see you can do the kind of backflip from your brave stance, but as for the main combat stuff, now the most exciting thing is that when you are in brave mode, and you combo the monster, your Kinsect will continually dive bomb the monster and grab extract for you, so you don't have to direct it, you don't have to throw it out, you don't really have to worry about it too much. All while you're attacking, it's doing the work for you. You'll notice how during the Hunter's combos, the Kinsect grabs loads of different nectars, so if you were to call it back in at that point, you would of course be able to grab that corresponding nectar, so it then means that instead of you having to worry about throwing it out, you instead just simply need to pay attention to it so you know what colour it's currently grabbing, so you can pull it back. It does appear to use a fair bit of stamina for the Kinsect, so you are still going to need to manage it and keep an eye on it, but again, leaning on the fact that Brave is all about aggression, this effectively allows you to just stay in there, combo, and grab nectar without worrying. Then moving over to the ranged weapons. So first up we have bow. This one, it appears you can go into your charge shot from your brave stance. Also, you can go straight into your volley attacks from there as well. But the interesting thing is that when you go to do your charge shot, you can follow straight up with another charge shot when you're actually in brave mode and your meter is full. So this is going to be nice for dishing out some pretty good damage. After that, onto the light bowgun. Now, a couple of interesting things here. Firstly, it seems that you're reloading, or when you're loading the shots, you do this from brave stance. Now again, I'm not too sure whether you have to do this from brave stance or whether it's an option. It's quite cool because of course if you're reloading whilst in brave stance and you get hit, then it's a means to evade out. But it appears when you do that, you power up your shots. You can see by the powered up red background to the bullets at the top. So it's more than likely a means to, dish out some more damage. But once you're in brave stance, you can do some crazy repositioning. You can sidestep while you're shooting, and there appears to be 3 different sidesteps. You have your regular left, right one, and you then have this sort of fancy kickflip sort of thing. That is really cool to watch. I'm still not a massive range weapon user, but this does look so much fun. And then finally onto heavy bowgun. Again, very similar situation to light bowgun. You appear to reload or load your shots whilst in your brave stance. You also then power up the shots, again denoted by the background. What's different here is that you can then, when you're in brave mode, you can roll out of an attack and then go straight into a run, which is of course the one you see from Adept normally. You can then slide from that back into effectively siege mode and then go and fire out your rapid shots. And from the gameplay, it sounds like they get faster the longer that you fire. So that's also rather interesting. Don't know whether that's tied to brave or whether that's a new shot, but either way, that is bowgun. And that's pretty much it. That was a look at all 14 weapons. Currently, that's all we've been shown. There's, of course, going to be a lot more to it. And once we get hands-on with the demo, things like that, and as soon as I can actually capture stuff for you guys, then I will be sure to follow up with a much more in-depth video showing you exactly how each weapon has changed with Brave Style. Think of it like a weapon tutorial just for Brave Style, and maybe Alchemy once we know more about it. But either way, that's it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of all the different styles. Let me know if you got a favourite. And thank you for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.